seasoned.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Primas podcast.
I was totally gonna wear a Ramon sweater just to piss you off, and I should have. But I said I'm not. I'm just go casual.
How did you see that I had it on?
I just saw it. You were flashing
that. Anyways, thanks for interrupting my intro.
Sorry.
That's my Prima Jess who just interrupted me.
I'm sorry. That's payback for that one time you like were moving your chair, remember?
Oh yeah. Karma?
Karma, there you go. I was just gonna say that.
Yep. Well, everyone, today is a very emotional, dark, heavy, pessimistic, contrasting, hence my shadow. And let's just get right to it. So death. Just kidding. Jessica was like, don't you dare talk about death, Cindy. Anyway,
it's like not right before the holidays. Please don't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. But so season 3 finale. Yay!
Yay!
It's like a chapter, another chapter in the book.
Season, I think 4. No, 3. Yeah, 3.
I was like,
3. Wait. We've been talking about 4 though, a lot. That's why. I was like, wait, how many have we done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh yeah, 3.
You like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're wrapping up our 3rd season. And man, I'm just really thankful, I didn't really prepare for this one because I'm like, no, I want it to be as natural. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm feeling very thankful. Dang, that's crazy, we have a podcast.
Me too. I can't believe we're wrapping up, and it feels like a wrap up. We've taken breaks before, and the end of season 1 was around the time last year, and it just feels different this time. I feel like we're a little bit more seasoned, mm-hmm. a little bit more experienced, and we actually love it. This is a passion of ours, and I think that's why it's a little bit more intense today.
Yeah, very, very beautiful. But yeah, so we wanted to start off by saying just if there's any new people. I read that this is important, guys. I'm following this detailed outline. That we just want to remind everyone who we are, why we started the Primas podcast. So our why in all of this, and then some goals on moving forward, what you guys can expect from us. So yeah, you want to start, Prima?
Yeah, definitely. I did a little self-reflection as well. The reason why I wanted to start this podcast was because if you've been following for the last year and a half, I just follow everything Cindy does. So that was it.
That's your main reason? Your only reason?
No, it was I think we have I think the way we talk and the way our energy is a great way something to put on a platform like a podcast, and looking back in season 1 and saying why did I want to do this in Denver with you? Why did I want to take this journey with you? And I believe our chemistry and our life experiences and our growth and all that has really shown in that year and a half that we started this podcast. We are true to what we say. We're always learning. We're not professionals in any shape, way, or form, but we think the things we talk about and discuss are very important. And we want to normalize it in our communities, and specifically our direct communities, people we engage with every day, our daughters, and our own personal growth.
Yay, that was so beautiful.
That was right off the top of my head. I didn't even prepare for that. It's if I had won an award and I just went it there, I was I wasn't even prepared to win this award. That's what I did.
That's how I felt it. Mm-hmm. That was from right here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was nice. The other thing I wanted to say about why is we're very passionate and in our journey of healing. And we share that a lot throughout from the beginning, right? Like every season, we have tried to be transparent with our healing process as much as we can, and also try to normalize things like looking into your traumas and knowing that you can change. You don't, I think that's rewarding, right, to us to be like, we're so in the thick of it.
Into the thick of
Just
it.
because we have this podcast, I was reflecting on that. Like, just, and we're talking about these things does not mean like, oh, this is what we know because we've been through it. Like, no, yes, we've been through it, but we're still in it.
Correct.
Because I was thinking, like, where were we at this time? Like, every time we have a season closer, it's like, oh, this was hard, right? Like, to keep going, which is very beautiful. Like, that we were able to do it because of our hectic lifestyles and, having little ones and working, and it's a lot that we do. So, and just life, and so we're still, like I said, I don't know, I think it's cool and refreshing to point out that just because we talk about these things does not mean we've mastered them. These are just things that we've learned along the way, whether through studying psychology in school or continuing to push ourselves and to stay current. I don't know, I think we try as hardest or the best we can to stay current with like psychology trends and like people in the field that are still kind of like producing research, like
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson and Robert Greene, that were like pretty huge on, amongst others, but like we referenced them a lot this season. So I thought just kind of shows like our passion for studying psychology, human behavior. So
Correct. Yeah. So this year, well, we could do a recap after, but I just wanted to say, like, how are you feeling? Right? It's the end of the year. Probably not your favorite time,
I'm feeling
but
pretty Grinch-ish, but
yeah.
let's not go there. Next question.
Pass.
No, I've gotten better with holidays, you guys. So, okay, I wanted to talk about that real quick, just like who we are, in case
Hmm.
someone's listening for the first time, or just to reiterate if someone is still like, these girls are weird, like totally are weird. But who are we? And so Jessica just said, this is probably not a fun time for me in the season. I don't celebrate holidays. I'm a minimalist and I try to practice that as much as possible because it brings me a lot of peace of mind and keeps me focused. We have an episode on minimalism. That's a huge part of my lifestyle. And so it includes also like consumerism and minimizing that. Um, not to say that those, it's just, that's my style, it's my preference, and I
Yeah.
talk a lot to that also. I think, in the podcast, people make fun of me a lot. They're like, that's weird, and I'm just like, yeah, just get it out. Yes, I'm weird and I'm different because I'm quirky. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, and I'm the opposite. I love the holidays. If I could show you my little Christmas tree, I would. But I have embraced a minimalist lifestyle. Like I used to be a real tree person. Now I'm a fake tree person because
Okay.
that's minimalist.
Progress.
Like I don't every year need to buy a brand new tree. Plus it's like bad for the environment. So I'm being very conscious of that.
Good for you.
Yeah, but I love the end of the year, because it does remind me of like a lot of quality family time, Like I love all of our birthdays are at the end of the year. I'm gonna be another year. I'm gonna turn well, my birthday's the end of this month. So also like a time of reflection, right?
Mm.
Like I wanna always do something and look back. And I was just thinking about that. Like I gave myself a lot of goals when I had turned 30, which was 2 years ago. And I feel like in a blink of an eye, like I'm 32 at the end of this month.
Mhm.
So I gave myself a lot of goals at the age of 30 to try to attain by the age of 35. And one of those is to go back to school. And I feel like my undergrad took a lot out of me. And I know when we had that episode with Nellie, it it's emotional, and next year I really want to apply for a master's program. I don't know in what yet, but that's going to take a lot out of me. And like I was telling Cindy, there I don't know what like I know last episode I say a lot like, oh, well, a lot of things are certain, but they're not, right? And I don't know where I stand next year with this podcast because this does, even though it's a passion of ours and a hobby, we don't get paid for it. And it's very time consuming. And my plate is full already. And I'm being honest, I don't know how much more I can take on. And my undergrad took a lot out of me. And I can only imagine a graduate's program. And a lot of my colleagues and coworkers are currently in one. And they're like, yeah, there's a lot of crying. You're going to feel depressed. No one says like these things until they're done with the program. But when you're going through it, it's very intense. And I want to be good, mind, body, and soul. And I feel like since I've turned 30, I've been working on that, because I knew that. And I was just talking to someone about this, and they gave me the best analogy or like synonym for what the master's feels like to me. And they described it as like a ferocious lion. And that's exactly how I'm interpreting it. Like, I have no idea what to expect, and I'm just mentally going to be preparing for it. So, my prima has been nothing but unsupportive as usual. Just kidding.
I was
She
like,
really,
F you, you're
you
gonna
know,
leave me.
she's like, you're going to break up the band. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I got knocked up. I don't know what else to say. Just kidding. That was a bad joke.
That
But,
was, you're so inappropriate.
know.
Canceled.
I like how we say that now all the time. You're canceled. And like we even worked up a hand gesture for it.
I'm just like, no, canceled.
And like we even worked up a good gesture, like canceled. Like you just did
I know,
it, like
click.
canceled.
Hit the cancel button.
I know. But that's where I'm at right now. So a lot of self-reflection and like it's like preparing it, because I don't do things impulsively. I try to set myself up, and yeah, just looking back, it feels like we're in the right direction of wherever this podcast is going, but there is that possibility.
Yep. Jessica's breaking up the band. So leave your comments down below. People say that in YouTube videos. We don't get comments, so I think it's funny. Huh?
Slide your application to see if Cindy is going to be interviewing for a co-host.
Yeah, leave a comment. Do you guys think that Jessica's totally just selling out, or she really knocked up? No, yeah. So yeah, that's big news. I wasn't sure if you were gonna bring it up. Because I hadn't heard about this, you guys. No, just fine. This is the first time she brings it up. No, I'm messing. But yeah, how do I feel about it? Mostly like super bitter. No, I'm just playing. No, when she told me, the moment we started the podcast, I've said this, I say it every day, I promise, every episode. I'm very thankful that people can say what they want, Jess, but they cannot take away. No, I'm just messing. But like, just the fact that you showed up for this long, and you even said like, I'll do one more season. So yay, guys, she's doing one more season. So we have one more season of the Primas podcast. But after that, I may want to pursue other goals. And I was just kind of like, totally, like, do your thing 100%. So it's not really bitter to me. I think it was beautiful. Like I got so much out of it, and I am going to continue to pursue podcasting because that's been a dream of mine. And now that we've done it, we got so much practice, so much, but we're still learning, obviously. But
correct.
I'm just very thankful that I was able to go in on this journey. So thank you so much for putting up with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was another thing, like, yeah, everyone thinks like, oh, it's a podcast, it's easy, it's talk. But like self-reflecting back to that first season, or even those practice episodes where we have like in archives, right? We're only going to use it if we're ever going to need to like shame one another, in the future.
Blackmail.
Yeah, blackmail. Thank you. How it was so scripted and like, okay, Cindy, you say this line and I say this line. And it took a lot of practice and effort and time and hard work to go into it, even like coming up with these topics each week, like we both have to be passionate and motivated about them because we can hear it in those episodes where we're like, oh, you can tell like I wasn't motivated or you vice versa, and it's just like it takes a lot and a lot of work chemistry, and we're family, but I learned another side of you, I found your shadow side, and I was like, ooh, it's an intense person back there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm thankful that you put up with my shadow side because apparently I'm the black sheep of the world. That's what I learned through this podcast. No, I really did learn that. Like I knew I was different, but everyone's like, no, like we don't want you around as much, as much.
Jessica's the only one that like wants you or invites you. Otherwise,
The only one
like,
that tolerates me. Yeah.
no.
But no, it's been beautiful. So yeah, so we started this podcast during the quarantine, which I think is super cool that we did that, like during that time, with so much going on. So that was nice. Shout out to Melissa for also like giving us a shot. Melissa's the first, she's our other cousin, and she did the first season with us, kind of, because then she was like, screw you guys, you psychos. And we were like, no, we get that. We understand. No, but shout out to her. We'll still hopefully have her on maybe next season. This can hopefully entice people to be like, all right, we'll listen to you, or all right, we'll come on your stupid podcast. But yeah, so no, I think, yeah, so that's who we are. Also, I wanted to say me and Jess both studied psychology. We both have our bachelor's. Shout out Cal State Long Beach. Go Beach.
Cal State LA Eagles. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Woo! Okay, so thought that was gonna be more exciting. And then what are our goals for next season? Yeah, so because I know that it's potentially our last season, at least for the Primas podcast, I kind of want to push myself a little bit more. It's very motivating, when something is either about to start or coming to an end. It's like in the middle where it's like, oh, we got comfortable. So I definitely have gotten a little comfortable. And so for season 4, I want to touch on topics that I was a little maybe too afraid to go to or to open up myself about. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to try to be a little bit more transparent with like stepping outside of your comfort zone. Because I feel like there's times where I listen to myself or I'll listen back to other episodes and I'm just like, are you still pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone? And so those are reflective moments and they're real, but it's like, let's talk about that part. How can you jump back into it? Because, you get unmotivated and life starts happening and you're like, oh, I'm getting defeated. And it's just like, no, rise. And I'm in that process. So, talking about that stuff, like, it's okay.
Yeah, and I know we kind of said it jokingly, but it's true. Like you and I have been wanting to talk about like death and like suicide and that, but I don't feel like we were ever ready. And I feel like next season that's going to be our opener, right?
I don't
Acceptance.
know.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
You
But
won't even allow that. So I'll be like, yes, Jeff, I'm excited. I'll get super excited about death. And you're going to be like, well,
I know.
it's Easter. So I was thinking.
Yeah, but no, you're right. Absolutely. It's like those hard topics that we've never explored that I think we should, because it's like now or never mindset, because it's always going to be on the back burner if we don't continue to challenge ourselves. And I don't think I don't know if I felt comfortable ever, like, oh, this is a smooth week, or I just wish sometimes there was a different dynamics of our personal lives, that it allowed it to be like for me to be like smooth sailing, but it was always like this, we're rolling with this again, and adapting to this situation, adapting to this new date and time. And it was a lot, but I feel like that always challenged me. And I hope to end like, it'll be 2 years next May that we officially started this podcast. And I would just like to end on a good note, like, okay, we're still cousins. We're still going to hit each other up.
No drama.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that brings me to like my next question that I wanted to ask is like how are you pushing or what are your goals? Like we're talking about goals for next season, but also like during the break, what are your plans to come back ready for season 4?
Yeah, definitely time off. So with in not only with the podcast, like this is our last recording. We're still early December. I love the holidays and it's a lot of our birthdays. So just to spend like quality time with my family, because like yesterday we had a podcast meeting and I had my daughter and things just happened right now where I don't have her as much, right? Like me and her dad are doing 50-50 schedule. So I feel even more pressure to do things on days I don't have her. So those days I do have her, I don't have to worry. This is one less thing I don't have to like squeeze into my schedule,
Mm.
like quote unquote. So definitely spend a lot of like quality time. Um, it's all of my family's birthday, including myself. So we do like to travel during the holidays. So for Christmas, we just booked a Raider Bronco game in Vegas. And then we're gonna go visit you guys. So that's always relaxing because the last time we went out there, you really emphasized like, get out of that alley mentality, which is like hustle, hustle, go on the go on the go, which I know I can be like that. And then it's gonna be snowing. So we love the snow. When do we ever see the snow out here? So doing things that are not necessarily our day to day, and just yeah, enjoying each other's company.
Cool. Um, so one thing that I've been trying to start like implementing into my life, because I got messages from up above and all
Hmm.
around or in and out. We are
Hmm.
all and yes. Um, is to slow down. So I think it's cool that to hear people from LA say, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Colorado with Cindy, and I know it's gonna be chill," because to me it's not chill. But
Hmm.
that's a state of mind, right? Because I would always blame you guys. I'd be like, they're from LA. Fuck, it's gonna be stressful. And that was
They bring the
me.
stress with them.
Yeah, but that's blaming outward, and
Mhm.
I see I'm growing emotionally and mentally where it's just like, and I knew that was wrong, but our ego, it's like, no, it's them. I'm good. It's them. And it's just like, absolutely not. Like if we're preaching and we preach this, and it's like also put it in practice, is generally speaking to slow down because I get agitated and when you're calm and collected and this, we see it in meditation. It could be chaotic if you really mastered your energy because you've mastered your emotions and you know how to just really slow down. And I mean that with everything. When I brush my teeth, when you're getting up in the morning, and I'm a person that is already, I try to slow down because I'm a minimalist, right? I create not too much for myself. So that, like you said, when we're parenting, like it's tiring. So how can I be there for my daughter when we are together after work? And she's
Mhm.
tired too. And it's just a crash, a clash of emotions. And our jobs, the type of jobs that we do. So, you apply it to everything. And even though I have routines, I still, why are we still rushing out of the house? And I'm annoyed, snapping at my daughter
Mhm.
because she's not rushing, running with, like those little things I don't feel good about. And so I started to implement, just like you need to slow the F down. And what do you need to do to prepare that? Because I thought I was already Zen and enlightened. And it's like, no, it's a journey. Like there's the next level. And so
Yeah.
when my family comes from LA or when I go to LA, I'm like, oh fudge, like I'm traveling to LA, like like that energy. And it's just like, Cindy, slow down, like be thankful, be in the moment. And there's so much to be thankful for, and so it's like, hopefully it's even more calm when you come out here.
Yeah, because I definitely felt it the last time, and I've been visiting you for since you moved out there, and it's always been on the go. I've always been on the go. I've always been on the go, and last time I really felt it And I feel like this time it's even going to be better than last time, because like I feel like we're going to be forced to stay inside and not do much because of the winter. Well, like, right? I don't know what snow's like out there.
And can I just say, I hope I don't get emotional, but I might. So what I was saying was, I think anytime someone comes and visits me or like gives me their time and stuff, they realize that I am like weird and like that, not weird in a bad way, but just I have my own life. I've kind of been doing it on my own for a while. So, you develop habits outside of what you used to be when you were with the group, with the family. And so now when I go back in, I'm just like, damn, the fact that you guys, some of you still F with me, I'm like, thank you. I'm so thankful because we're different, we're growing. I don't want to stay apart. I still love visiting. And as much as I complain, like I'm so happy when I'm around my family and I'm very thankful. So that's what I was saying. And that's what I got like super emotional about. Yeah.
Aw, yeah. Well, I feel like we've always been close as like cousins,
Yeah, but we're
And
getting older and you're still like, still chugging. So I was like, thanks.
I'm still like banging down those walls you keep putting up. You're like, I changed my number a million times, but Jess still manages to like find it on the internet. I don't know how she does it, but she
Yeah.
does.
It's like, hey, Prima. Very funny.
Yeah, no, but I feel like we've always gotten along, and I feel like our whole lives when like even though you're 3 years older than me, it's like I'm living them like 3 years after you because you're like, Jess, at this age, be careful because this happens to us. And sure enough, boom, happens to me.
Jessica doesn't listen.
I know, dude. Like as much as Cindy has already gone through all the like turmoil and all the pain and aches, it's like I still make the same mistakes as her exactly, but like 10 times worse. And I'm like, how do I manage to do that, dude? But you're always there to like, I told you, and like not in a bad way. I've always said like you're the older
But I've never
sister.
said I told you so or nothing like
Oh
that.
yeah, no, yeah. Always like, Jess, didn't I warn you about
Jess.
this was about to happen?
Yeah.
And it's so simple, like a Jordan Peterson, right? Like, yeah, sometimes I'm on him, but ever since we had that episode about him and I found out how like super religious he is, I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I mess with him that much. But he made a post today about like making your bed or like go do your room, or go clean your room. And I'm like, all this time Cindy would say like, make your bed, Jess. It's that simple. And like the metaphor, the analogies and everything behind it. And today just like all came in full circle. I'm like, this is what Cindy's talking about all the time. And it's so trippy how that always still happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, you guys. Jessica's cray cray. But yeah. So yeah, that's cool that you're doing your bed now. Just kidding. But that analogy is that's a good one, like when you're struggling in life or when you're mad at someone, it's just like check your most basic discipline level. Are you doing your bed every morning? A lot of people don't, right? Like that takes, or they do it for other people, right? Like a child can do it for their mom, a spouse can do it for their partner, but like are you really doing your shit? Are you on top of not even like going after crazy goals? I mean, that's, you should do that, but also like just the most basic shit. Are you taking care of yourself, mind, body, and soul? Or at least working towards it?
Yeah.
So that's
So I'm
awesome.
excited. We're going to be spending the new year together, and even though it's my birthday, aren't we always asleep? Every time I go out there for New Year's Eve, it makes me laugh because we're always like, we're going to do mask when the girls go to sleep. We're going to stay up till midnight. And tell me why, like for the last, as many times I've gone out there for New Year's Eve, we're in bed by 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And I was like, where's the ratchet us on New Year's Eve in Vegas when I had turned 21 being little thotties? Like, look at that growth. We didn't even have a sweater, remember? And it was like 20-degree weather. It was snowing.
Oh my God. I think back to a lot of stuff. Like, people our age say. Where I'm like, we literally, that Vegas walk, it was like 2 miles. We did it in high heels.
Oh, not
and
me.
we were
I never
so
wore
happy.
heels.
You didn't?
I never wore heels. Remember, I would always wear flats or
There
like.
was one time that I'm like, oh shit. Remember?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. But anyways, so What I'm doing during the break is, yeah, working on season 4. It's still a break, like
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we don't have to come together for the next 4 weeks on
Mm-hmm.
the days that we do when we're tired. It's like that's gonna be nice. Um, so yeah, I guess how are you challenging yourself? Mine was that to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
And you said yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's pushing myself out of my comfort zone because it's also like when I'm in traffic, you got to accept that you're in traffic. Traffic pisses me off. Like I have a schedule right now where I had to be in traffic, and it's like, and it's not even that far, but I'm like, no. And so yeah, so slowing down your thoughts during that time. And okay, so one of our things like for the Primas podcast was always to push outside of our comfort zone, like starting a
Mm-hmm.
podcast and putting ourselves out there, knowing that we don't have all the answers, knowing how the world is so sensitive and can perceive things in a different way, knowing that we make mistakes and all of this stuff to me is really badass. It's like I think it's cool, like that we did that. And so that's why I'm so thankful because it's I don't know, the feedback that we get sometimes it's like people don't get me wrong, we love feedback, but sometimes people will give suggestions that you're not understanding that we got to do this every single like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anyone else that would do that. And I've scouted for a few years. And I think that's cool of us. I think this is going to go down in history for us. Just like, damn, that was so
Correct.
fucking
Yeah.
cool that we did that shit. Like, so cool. Because it
I
was
was just
embarrassing. It's hard. It's nerve wracking.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was some times in the beginning where I wouldn't even want to listen to those episodes because I'm like, I didn't like the sound of my voice, or I didn't like this or that, before we
Mhm.
had done video. And it's like all that just like makes us look inward, like, what do you mean I don't like the sound of my voice, or yeah, it sounds like we didn't come off prepared, but it's like, yeah, in that moment, not only are we thinking about the podcast or trying to do it, but it's like trying to stop ourselves and hone in on just the podcast when our personal life is like falling apart and in fire in the background, but
Yeah. And you're
it's
like,
so much
hey,
stuff going on. It's like saying, I'm fine, but we really weren't. And I agree. It challenged us in so many ways. And it might not be so big, but it's those little efforts that we always need to celebrate. And I'm glad I can always reflect that back with you and be like, wow, Prima, remember how we felt? Or there's so many times that stood out to me or vice versa for you. And we're always going to look back like, well, we did it together, like we were the two front man on this band, we were both the lead singers.
yeah. Yeah, that's
And I
cool. I
like
think
that.
that's awesome. So I wanna we've said this before, but I want to just remind everyone that if you ever want to do something and you're feeling scared about it, but you know that it's something that you would love to do it. It's going to be scary, it's going to be uncomfortable. Um, Healing is uncomfortable. We're in the thick of it, right? And like so me crying or getting emotional or just like so much that we go through, it's and I still had fun coming every week because it was something I really wanted to do. And it's
Hmm.
tiring. Like that's why as Jessica kept hanging on and kept going, I was like, oh my God, so
Hmm.
cool. Like I didn't think we would make it past, you just think like whenever this person feels like, hey Cindy, I'm out, like it's cool, I'm gonna respect that. Or even Eloy. So shout out to our editor as well.
Hmm.
But I say that about him too. Like, man, he could one day just be like, this is dumb, this is boring, or I want to do something else. And so that's why counting your blessings, because something like this we don't get paid for, like you said, and it is very time consuming, and and it's still happening. I think is really like it's a blessing. I think it's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
And there were so many times where Cindy was going to write me up and be like, this is your last warning. Because I have so many times I dropped the ball and she would just let it go because then she was letting go of the reins, not like,
Unconditional love.
hmm. And I was like, wow, Prima's so amazing. I didn't get written up this week. So thank you, Prima. I appreciate those.
Okay, let's very quickly go through our ups and downs since you're saying that. because what I
Of
think.
this season, right? Not like the
Yeah.
whole. Yeah. Okay. Go. Our ups first.
Yeah.
Our downs. Let's start down and end on a good note.
Okay.
My down this season, was, yeah, making that decision to tell you, because I told you in October that, yeah, there's a possibility I might not continue. Because when I had started, I gave myself a 5-year time frame to do this podcast. And then I started like crunching down numbers. I met with a financial coach, and I really started to put things in perspective for myself. And there are certain things I want to accomplish, and I'm like, yeah, I need to put this aside for now and focus on other things. So I think that was a hard one, because I was like,
Mm.
Cindy's really going to hate me and block me. And like anonymous stories are going to start coming out of nowhere. Like, I heard this about you, Jess. And I'm
Did
like,
you really
only
think
Cindy
I
knows
wouldn't take
that.
it well?
No, I'm just kidding. I was just nervous.
No, yeah, but
I
you
know
didn't
how
think.
much. Yeah, no. I just
Okay.
know how much you love it, and I love it too. And I didn't want you to think I was leaving for any other reason, but like focusing
Yeah.
my time
That's
and
why I
energy.
try to always remind anyone, who like Eloy even or Melissa when she was still on, like I try to remind everyone like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
like I got your back, we're family, and I think anybody that wants that really like, has your back wants you to do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's whatever. You unconditional means, like, all right, I got your, that's cool. And because when you look at the world in like a positive way, you can be like, this means something else for me now.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, right? You're saying like, okay, I want to go into this new journey. And what better than to get the support, right, of the people close to you, and to be like, dude, what do you need me to do? Do it. I got your back. And that's a beautiful thing. So yeah.
Awesome. What was your down for this season? And just stick to one, because there were several. Let's just go to the top of the list.
I have 8. Just kidding. Um, I
You
don't
and
think
your
I have
list, dude.
I guess let me just pick the one that I'm really furious about. I can subliminally, passive aggressively throw it in there. No. I don't like the downs. I don't think there's no downs. I'm still on cloud 9. The fact that we were able to do a podcast. Um, the same thing as before, like the time. There's I gotta we've got to rearrange our weekly schedule with so much things constantly changing, and making sure that we're being present for our daughters
Mm-hmm.
in a healthy, authentic, like I don't, helpful way, and also at work, so like we try to do good work. So there's just a lot that it really has nothing to do with the podcast. It was the fact that no one will ever understand,
Mm-hmm.
just because and no one does, and no one has to, but yeah, it's crazy that we were able to pull this off. So I'm like, damn, like I could never. It's a blessing. So yeah, I don't think there's like I don't have any downs, to be honest.
Mm.
Scheduling, but that's what we always say, like it sucks because
Things happen.
you
Yeah.
get out of work and you're rushing and you have to eat and you have to feed your kids, and there's so much, and there's traffic, and when we're like, fuck, okay, let's do this podcast and be happy and mix in some research, and stuff. So
I know.
that comes with it.
I remember this season, I think I made it where I have therapy and podcast. So it's like I'm crying in therapy right after work. And then I'm like, okay, I got to like,
Yeah, back to back.
yeah. So just condensing it all, because I'm like, I can't keep spreading it out, because then there was no me time. And that's what I had learned last season. I was like, one day this, one day that, one day that. Like when I don't have my daughter, I was trying to condense it all now into
Yeah.
like one day.
Prima, I encourage you to slow down.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah,
do. That's
because
why everything's on Wednesdays, and on Thursdays and Fridays, I really try to like take for myself.
one thing that for me, like that I had to realize I have to slow down is I really wanted to be an entrepreneur and start little side hustles.
Mm-hmm.
And it went well up until COVID, of course. But I think it was really cool because I kept trying to chase that still. And it kept pushing me to, you have a daughter who's growing up quickly. And when you listen to people that are experienced parents or grandparents, right, people around you say, it goes by so fast. and it stuck with me. Even though I don't know what they're talking about because I haven't perceived it. I'm kind of doing it, but I listen. I listen to people when they say stuff because they know, and like it goes so fast, and we're only this age, like we're still young, we're doing our thing. So to me, it was like, slow down on the entrepreneurial stuff because you're gonna miss out on special time. And
Mhm.
also, why do I want, like, why can't I be content and happy with what I have? We're constantly chasing, I think our society is conditioned in that way. And so
Mhm.
it's a challenge. Like I said, even driving or getting, like, I'm so rushed, like when I started to observe myself, and it's like, so I'm practicing the slowing down part. So I don't know, it just reminded me of like, where I'm like, I wanted to do 2 podcasts at once. And it's just like, really, like, chill.
Mhm.
And now I know that I can do another podcast, but at the same time, it's like, slow down, like, be comfortable with what you have, put quality and love into what you do have, and you can still make your shit happen. And like Jordan Peterson says, we are sacrificial beings, especially mothers, right? Like parent, like, I mean, you got to really slow your life down, put it to the side almost a little bit. And then once your kids get older, then it's like a new life and stuff. But I don't believe in age in that way. So I think once my daughter's older, it's gonna be a new phase for me where I'm like, let's go hard, like, I'll be ready. So
Mm.
yeah.
Good.
All right. Okay, so what about our good stuff? What about the pros?
I think actually this season we did step out of our comfort zone and talk about a lot about human behavior and a lot of like controversial topics like the politics one and understanding Roe versus Wade, like the abortion one or even the autism one and what other ones?
Postpartum depression, I think, was
Yeah,
also a good
that
one.
was a good one. And talk about like putting ourselves in our experiences, right? And like how we dealt with that and like being really open, and that's very challenging. Talking about very like controversial topics like those. I was really proud of us, because those were some of my top favorites this season.
And the cancel culture one.
Oh yeah, that one was a really good one. I liked it because I think it had just happened after the Astro World, or right? Like around the time frame.
No, before. It was a Dave
Mm.
Chappelle, like, what inspired us to talk about it.
But then the Astro World thing happened and it's like, remember, people were like, "Oh, how do you feel about that?" and this and that. And I'm just like, whoa, a lot had happened around that time. So it was
Oh.
just a very heavy topic. You're right. So that's why I was just like, a lot of events at that time around cancel culture were happening.
Hmm.
And we were just talking about it, and it was just trippy to have those conversations, right? Like that dialogue.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's
Those are
cool.
good ones. So yeah, that
Um,
was my good one this year.
yeah. Me too. I think we grew the relationship between our listeners because I saw consistency, and I think, well, that's how you build any relationship or community, right? Like, with time. And I think right now, not that we have a lot of people interacting with us, but the ones that we do, I feel like, have been consistent. And
Hmm.
also, people are starting to understand now what we're about, whether they listen or not. I feel like we're starting to. So I think that's awesome, right? Because in the beginning, yeah, the first season, even the second season, it was just like, shit, we were still trying to figure it out. Like, still say what
Yeah.
we wanted about human behavior, but it was like, how do we approach it? What do we talk about? Or how do we talk about it? But thanks for saying the topics that we talked about, because I also want to give a big shout out to all of our guest speakers.
Yay.
Um, we had, and then so I'm gonna say their names, and then the episode, you guys, please check it out. They're super cool. Our guest speakers were awesome. They always are. We had some new ones this season. So Alex, we talked about men's mental health. So we were really big on men and looking into their traumas, right? And like, we don't want to just point the finger and talk shit and say men are toxic and we live in a patriarchal world. It's like, no, let's hear men's perspective. So we look forward to working with him in the future. So thank you so much, Alex, for coming on.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
he even
yeah,
agreed. I think season 4, he'll come on again.
yeah, we want to talk to him about like he was open about suicidal ideation and like he's in the mental health field, so we look forward to working with him.
Hey, thank you, Alex.
And then we had Georgina, who is our therapist. So she talked about, this is the second time she comes on, super super cool ass, down to earth, and just very culturally aware in our, for like the Latino community.
Mm-hmm.
And so she did understanding trauma. So this is the second time she comes on. We have a lot of great feedback when she comes on. So we encourage you to check hers out. And then we had Marilyn. She came on twice.
Yay,
Hey,
Marilyn.
Marilyn. So with Marilyn, we talked about postpartum depression and autism awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And Marilyn's with the shits. She's cool. She's like a real family member.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She gets our humor very well.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
She's,
that's a huge one because not a lot of people are dark and laugh like us in those moments, but she's right up there with us.
yeah, she was cool. The first time I met, that was Jessica's friend. And the first time, like the first minute, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
we're best friends. Yeah.
I know.
So we do that a lot to our friends. We're just like, I'm taking this one. But and then we have our financial coach. Shout out to Mariela. This is also the second time she comes on. And her episode was on financial discipline. So this is another person who is one of our mentors. I mean, changed
Influenced us
our life.
this year alone. Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
she's sorry. Are you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say we had her last season and she helped us budgeting, and then this season, um, be really strict about it. And like, thank goodness for her because I am like alleviating a lot of like my debt and things like I had planned, that is gonna help me move forward. So huge shout out to her.
Yeah, I was never really into financing and numbers, you guys. I was very like, sounds very immature, but like I was always afraid and poor mentality growing up with like Mexican moms saying like, don't do this, don't do that, we're broke, we're broke. And she understands that aspect of the community. So I love that part because if you ever consult with her, she's a financial coach. She, she's gonna understand. It's cool when like a therapist or someone really understands the culture because they're gonna speak to that. And she's really changed my life with regards to how I look at money and financing now. I'm not great or perfect at it with my budget and everything, but that was a life changer because now I mean it's you have to get into your money.
Hmm.
That's part of mind, body, and soul. Also, shout out to Sam. He came on to do the women's reproductive rights. So that episode was about anti-abortion laws that were going on at the time, where Texas was like going to pass this crazy abortion law. And so he's a policy manager for a local nonprofit in Denver, and he came on to talk about that.
Yeah, he was a good one. I liked him. We got to bring him on.
Yeah, for being a politic like conversation, I like to talk politics with him because he's in
Hmm.
our generation. He's gonna understand like how to explain stuff. So check that one out if you guys are interested. And then we had Miss Lynn.
Oh,
Hmm.
we love Miss Lynn. She taught us so
So
much about our daughters, patience. No, I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
yeah. So Miss Lynn, her episode was The World Through a Child's Eyes. And Miss Lynn used to be my daughter's teacher during her early childhood education. So she has a bunch of early childhood experience. Her episode was awesome because you can apply
Mhm.
it. It doesn't matter. She oozes with wisdom. She's changed my life. She's one of my parenting mentors. So shout out to Miss Lynn. And then we had Robert, my brother. So Robert comes on to talk about his experience as a former Marine. So he's now a vet of the United States Marines, and he shares his story. I love my brother. Shout out to my brother Robert, because that was cool. That was a cool experience. In our family, he's the only one that's ever done that.
And he's
So
the oldest.
cool.
It's called like cousin. And
Yeah.
him and I are 10 years apart. So I didn't grow up with Robert, and I learned so much about him in that episode. I was like, oh my God, Robert, I didn't know you went through all that. Like, pobrecito. No, I'm just kidding.
I know,
But I
are you in
learned
therapy? Whoa, you should look into that.
no, but Robert's so amazing, and that's why I couldn't believe like he had done all that in his early 20s, or like even right out of high school. So I was like
Yeah, that's
8 years
crazy.
old when all that happened. So I wasn't like keeping up with Robert. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Like, why do I always
Yeah.
have to say hi to him? You know?
Yeah.
Where's
Okay.
Cindy?
Cindy's brother,
Like,
one of the 10. Yeah.
Robert.
Yeah. So my brother's another one of my mentors. He's also a social worker, and so I look up to him a lot. And his story is really cool because it's relatable. I feel like a lot of people in East LA during that time, there was a huge recruitment movement in the high schools. So like Garfield, even Eli,
Franklin.
Roosevelt, Franklin, Lincoln, like all of these places where I feel like a lot of people in the community could relate, I think, yeah. And so last but not least, my youngest brother, Martin, came on to talk about the metaverse. Yeah.
That was a good one. That one just aired last week, and we were both like, all right, Martin.
Yeah,
Sets
that
up
was
his
a really good one,
podcast
you
game.
guys. That's just a casual conversation about just jumping in on the metaverse topic, but he's also a gamer, so I kind of was like, oh, that'd be cool to bring him on, because there's game developers designing the metaverse. So I was like, So yeah, OMG, you guys.
This
We're
is
done.
it. Yeah. This is a wrap. We'll see you guys next year when we start our New Year's resolutions. Oh, we'll start that topic next year.
Yeah, and we're coming back January. We really are coming back, you guys. Like, we're already working on season 4. Please don't. But the 14th, January 14th, we will air our first season 4 episode. And so stay with us. Give us some feedback. Follow us on Instagram at Primas Podcast. Let us know what you think. If you have any ideas, suggestions, whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening.
I hope you guys have a good holiday season and a happy new year. And we'll see you guys next year. For sure, Primas will be back.
At least a few more months.
Yeah. Who knows?
Okay.
We don't know. We are not for certain.
You're right. Okay, bye, you guys.
Bye.